Welcome to Hot Topics on Sunday with Larry Krueger. How you doing, Kruegs?
Doing great, man. Fired up. Big week ahead, no doubt. Lots of stuff to talk about. That's for sure. Let's do it.
Ready to fire you up here, Larry. Number one, NFL free agency begins on Monday with signings official on Wednesday. Will Jimmy G be traded today? That's the question.
We've been waiting. All Niner fans have been waiting all off season, Len, for this one. I would say he does get traded today. I'm going to guess it's to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to say he goes to the Steelers for wide receiver Chase Claypool and a 5th-round pick.
Okay. Now,
that makes sense to me.
That does. That sounds sensible to me, too. Number two, should the 49ers pursue DE Frank Clark despite his off-the-field baggage?
Yeah, he's a defensive end who can rush the passer. This is interesting because if you're just saying, do you want Frank Clark, the football player? Hell yes, I want Frank Clark, the football player. He's hardcore as a player, man. He's a terrific edge rusher. He's tough. He's relentless. You know, I really like him as a football player. Off the field, let's just say he runs a little hot. You know, he runs a little hot, and he's had some issues. I'd want to make sure. I'd want to investigate those issues. But if I got suitable answers and I felt good about the person, I feel great about the player. So, you know, I'll say yes. You know, I think football's a rough game. It's played by sometimes rough guys. You got to decide what you can live with and what you can't. You know, this is one of the rougher characters they will have encountered if they do decide to add him. But I'm going to say thumbs up on Frank Clark. Give me Frank Clark. Frank Clark, the football player, is exactly what the 49ers need. Frank Clark, the person, you know, I don't know him personally. There's been a lot of smoke around him through the years, but I sure like him as a football player. And if you could add him, if you have Frank Clark on one end and you've got Nick Bosa at the other defensive end spot, you know, now you're cooking with gas, as they say. So I'll say thumbs up on Frank Clark. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, don't touch him, bad guy. I'm not saying he's a good guy, but I'm intrigued as hell at the idea of Bosa and Clark coming off the edges.
Is Carlos Rodon better option than Kevin Gausman?
Yeah. Rodon is better than Gausman because Rodon, they're both getting $22 million a year. Toronto gave Gausman a 5-year deal. Farhan gave Carlos Rodon a 2-year deal with a 1-year opt-out. So really, you know, it's a year-to-year game right now, and you want to incentivize the players. When you give somebody a 5-year deal, it's almost like you de-incentivize the players. So I don't like 5-year guaranteed contracts to pitchers. It's a huge gamble with your ownership's money, and I think I'd rather keep dangling that carrot. So Rodon had a great year last year. If he's healthy, I think he's the better pitcher between him and Gausman. But what I really like is I like the philosophy that Farhan Zaidi has used here, which is, you know what? I'll pay the going rate. I'll pay $22 million a year for a starter. But I don't want him. I don't want to be tied to him for 5 years. 2 years at $44 million is a lot more attractive than $22 million per over 5 years, which is what Gausman got from Toronto. So I would think it's a huge win for the Giants. And they may wind up getting a guy who can be an ace, who could literally be the ace of their rotation for the year. And if he's physically not right, you know, they only have a 2-year commitment. They're not committed for 9 figures and 5 years, and you know that's where you get in trouble. So I think going for Rodon and getting him for 2 instead of 5 for Gausman, total win for Farhan and the Giants.
Good outlook there, Larry. So we're on to number 4. Today is Selection Sunday. Who's your NCAA tourney sleeper teams?
This is always tough because, you know, I only really start watching college basketball in February and March. But I got a couple teams that I really like this year. One, I like the UConn Huskies. I think they're flying beneath the radar. I like Eric Musselman's Arkansas Razorbacks, who started slow but have finished fast. And then out west, I really like Colorado State. You know, I watched Colorado State a couple times this year. They've got athletes. They can score. They can defend. They got a big man in the middle who's a powerhouse. So I like Colorado State. I like UConn, and I like Arkansas remember those three teams when you're filling out your brackets tonight on Selection Sunday.
Okay, number 5. Who lands quarterback Deshaun Watson in a trade with Houston?
I think it's going to be the Carolina Panthers, Len. There's an awful lot of talk about, a number of different teams that have interest, and I'm sure there's a bunch of teams kicking the tires. But I think Carolina is intent on getting the deal done. I think they've got the pieces to make it happen, and I think it's a natural fit. He played at Clemson in South Carolina. Coming to Charlotte would be a homecoming. There's going to be, with what he's gone through in this offseason with the pending litigation, there's going to be some, damage control as far as not everybody in the fan base is going to buy into the guy. But, if you put him in San Francisco, there'd be a lot of pushback. But you put him in Charlotte, just up the road from where he starred at Clemson, and I think it's much more apt to be a positive environment. So I'm going to say the Carolina Panthers get it done, and they wind up with Deshaun Watson.
Here's a big one. This guy's been getting a lot of attention on our videos. Where does Bobby Wagner land?
Everybody wants Bobby Wagner. Seahawks cut Wagner. He was still one of the best linebackers in the game last year. He's an LA kid. So I'm going to say it's going to be the Rams or the Chargers. And I'm going to say it's going to be the Rams. Here inside, and I mentioned this to Grant Cohn when we did our show last week, that, man, you put Wagner on the Rams, and suddenly, that their defensive front seven is that much better. So they got a great D-line. They really don't have a lot at inside linebacker, and Wagner could be the answer for them. So Chargers, Rams, one of those two teams. He's an LA guy. I'm going to say he goes to the Rams.
Okay. Now, the A's just traded starting pitcher Chris Bassett. Which A's player should Farhan, kind of attempt to acquire from his buddy Billy Bean, Mr. Moneyball?
Well, the A's are having a full-on fire sale. So Matt Chapman, Matt Olson, Chris Bassett, Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, all these guys are out there and available according to the reports. First of all, I would love to see Chapman playing third base for the Giants. That would be terrific. But looking at the price tag, I think it's prohibitive. I'm going to say Sean Manaea. I just think Manaea is, he's got a ton of talent, hasn't really come into his own, hasn't fully blossomed yet. I think the A's are going to make a couple moves. I think the Giants have some younger arms in their system that maybe would be attractive to Oakland. And Manaea in San Francisco, I like that. I mean, I like the thought of that. If not Manaea, then Frankie Montas. But one of those two powerhouse starters, I think, would be a perfect target if you're Farhan Zaidi.
Will Tom Brady stay retired?
I don't think so. I don't think Tom Brady's going to stay retired. I think Tom Brady's going to be playing for the Niners in week 1. They showed him at a Manchester United game. The Glazer family who owns the Buccaneers, owns Manchester U, I believe. And there's a lot of speculation that maybe he was there to try to, get the Glazer family to free him up on his deal. He signed, a deal to play for Tampa for 2 years, and they only gave him an extension for the 3rd year so they could make things work on the cap. So I think if you're Tom Brady, you can look the Glazer family in the eye and say, hey, look, I gave you a 2-year commitment. I fulfilled that commitment. I won you a Super Bowl. I made you a ton of money. I served my 2-year commitment. Now let me out. Let me go where I want to go. So I think he's going to free himself up. I think it probably won't be until June 1st. I think he's going to play this year. I think he's going to play for the 49ers.
Interesting. You hear the doggy in the background, huh?
Yeah. Penny.
Yeah.
Come here, Penny.
We have your mascot for the show. Fantastic.
Yeah, Penny, here, we'll get Penny in the shot here. How
Oh,
you doing, Penny? Look at
nice
Penny.
dog.
Yeah,
There's Larry's sports dog. Fantastic.
Yeah, she's a very good dog, but she's talking to people outside right now.
See, this is cool. You can actually have dogs on the show. We can do some animals. That's very fun. So, number 9, do the Warriors need James Wiseman to win the NBA Finals?
Well, I mean, the Warriors are a terrific team with or without James Wiseman, but they absolutely need James Wiseman to win it all. I mean, Phoenix is the best team in the West. They've got size. They've got DeAndre Ayton. They added Bismack Biyombo, and they have some size up front. And the Warriors need James Wiseman to run the floor, defend, rebound and finish at the rim. I mean, the Warriors have some outstanding 3-point shooters, and it's a good offense. Kerr's offense is an effective offense, but you got to have a rim threat. You got to really stretch teams. And how do you do that? Well, you make them defend the 3-point line and you make them defend the rim. Right now, they don't have that lob threat, and they really don't have that big body to counter other teams' big bodies inside. I mean, Kevon Looney tries hard. Draymond Green is an incredible talent, but what is he, 6'6", with long arms? He's going to defend 7-footers. They need Wiseman, who's 7'1", very athletic. They may only need him for a spot duty here and there, and maybe not in every series in the playoffs, maybe just in a couple select series. But in my mind, if they want to go where they want to go, which is the NBA Finals, and to win it, they absolutely have to have James Wiseman. He can't just be, an asset that sits at the end of the bench. He's got to play some role for them because they don't have a player like him when he's not in there. So, everything with Wiseman, Len, is about projection because we saw him last year. We've yet to see him this year. And yet listening to what he said, he understands his role. He's not shooting threes or dribbling a ton. He's got to run the floor. He's got to defend. He's got to rebound. He's got to challenge shots. He's got to finish at the rim. He's got to serve some of those big man duties that the Warriors lack right now. And I think he will do it. I absolutely think that they need him if they want to win it all.
Okay, so now we're getting ready. This has been a great little segment. It's rapid fire. You're getting to the point. I think people are going to like this to tune in to just get everything in one shot. Now I'm going to lead off with the last question. Do you still believe in Trey Lance?
I absolutely do. I've never not believed in Trey Lance. Trey Lance is, he's an incredible athlete, and he's a raw football player. And it's a little bit of the drafting him was a little bit of a projection because he didn't play very much in college, and he played, for an FCS program, and he really, I think he had less pass attempts than any quarterback who went in the first round in the last 40 years. So there was going to be a learning curve here. We're an instant gratification society, and everybody wants to see it now, develop now. But in reality, it takes time. Now, this guy is going to be really good. Why? Because he's got the physical talent, he's got the mental ability, and he's got the desire to go through the process to get better. And so I think he's going to be a really, really good talent. Now, I don't think it's going to be this year. So that's why I'm advocating for Tom Brady, because I think Brady, for one more year and one more year of tutelage for Lance, is exactly what the doctor ordered. But I have never lost confidence in Trey Lance. I think he's got everything you want, physically, mentally, and football is important to him. So, if you love the process of football, everybody loves to play on game day, but do you love Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? And I think Trey does. And I think he'll do the work. He'll put in the mental reps. He'll put in the physical reps. He's working with Tom House in Southern California on his throwing motion. He'll streamline everything. His knowledge of Kyle's offense will improve dramatically. And the 49ers and their fans are going to love what they see. But it's still going to require some patience. And that's something that very few of us have. So no doubt Trey Lance is going to be really, really good. I still have tons of confidence in Trey Lance. And my confidence never wavered. I've kind of always known that this is a player that is not, some guys are plug and play, where they can step right out of college, right into the NFL, play week one, and play at a very high level and be very efficient. I don't think that's this player, but he's still a phenomenal prospect, and I think his future is incredibly bright.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah.